BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. Welcome to this 50 minutes of experience. Today I'm really happy to be with Augusto Pieroni. Welcome, Augusto.
Hi, thanks for having me, as they all say.
It's really nice for me to have you. I want to say, before to ask you to introduce a bit of yourself, I introduce a bit. Augusto is a really interesting person, I would say, not only in the work, but especially, I think, as a human, because his research and his work, in a way, I don't want to say influenced myself to find some good question and also good answer in the life in photography. And I remember like yesterday that I bought this book 10 years ago, How to Read Photography, and was really nice because in a way was not structuring myself, but was destructuring myself from what I was thinking was the structure in photography. But anyway, I'm really curious to know how he's introduced, how he make the introduction of himself. That's really interesting for me. So let's do it.
No, I will disappoint you. I'm not so brilliant in self-introductions, and so I will just say that the thing is basically that all of my works have been, have been done in search of a different approach to things. A different doesn't mean really original, but it's the thoughts that everyone thinks scare me. It scares me that people all think the same, or have a received idea about things. This scares me, and at the same time, when you study, you have a lot of influences, and you understand that there are people who wrote books and did something to stir the mind of the readers. And this is something that I'm very curious about and very interested in. I like this. I like, as you said, turning people into questioning machines. People like to receive answers, but they don't have the exact question. They like to be calm and relaxed and know what to do and know what to say, and this is what troubles me. I don't think so. I cannot describe myself because I'm not something that is easy to summarize in one word. Am I an art historian? Yes. Am I a photography critic? Yes. So many things, and perhaps as there is not a single definition that would basically suffice. I don't know, but not because I don't know who. It's because I've been transversal, and I've been jumping from here to there, and trying to find something that answered my questions, my doubts, and this makes you non-existent because your questions are not a protocol.
Yeah.
So what I did was study communication for a long time at the university, then switching to visual communication, and being a contemporary art historian, and then from there having a let's say, a PhD in photography, and then doing a kind of double-edged activity. On the one hand, teaching at the university, on the other hand, being a contemporary art critic.
Yeah.
So being in the dead and in the lively activities, dead people in books, people very much alive in galleries and studios. From there, photography came as a natural development of things. There were many people in the early 90s who were dealing with both digital and photographic imaging, and the languages were overlapping at that time. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, yeah, absolutely not. So I'm really curious to ask you some questions. We talk about question, and I think this question jump to other question, but I want, in a way, avoid the classical question. Someone can do it, and I want to ask you directly. Okay, I've seen that you have read a lot of book, you have studied a lot in your life, and I ask to you now, after many years, do you think did you find exactly, in a way, someone was researching the same things in the past as you are doing right now, and you find some kind of a good influence in your story of studying? I mean, for example, I was always asking to myself, why in the university, especially in photography and visual art, they give us to read La Chambre Claire of Barthes and not other book of him. I mean, there are some other books that they can give much more good influence, especially in how we ask to ourselves and how we figure out the word. To understand even better the etymology, the synonyms, and the construction, the structure of how we communicate, and why to read about something is probably totally important also, but come after, and why starting to structure ourselves in this way and not in the way of the structuring where else we know about our communication and say, okay, look, now you want to learn the visual communication, perfect. So now you have to understand how you put one words after another and the words come out. What do you think about that?
Basically, I have discovered that the world I have been taught to live in changed every 5-10 years, and the questions came after every change. New questions came after every change. So I can't say I found any answer that didn't grow old after 5 or 10 years. What I thought was relevant 5 years ago makes no sense today. What I was pursuing 2 years ago, before lockdowns and everything else, is totally devoid of sense today. And what happened in the meantime was another restructuring of needs and answers to these needs. So the problem is to keep an eye on the questions and not letting them grow cold. Then the questions, if the questions are hot, answers will come, or things that might serve as an answer for a given time. How can I answer to your question if myself is not myself anymore, is not the old self? Look, the books I wrote are strange animals. Reading photography, as you said, I thank you for quoting it, is a book that's been written in 2003, and today is still selling. It's a sort of miracle, because we never did any ad for it, so it went by itself. But still, it has something to say, even if myself I have changed a lot, and the way I look at things and the way I explain to myself things have changed. I do lessons. I do lessons with that book, but I start from that and change all the can I say the score.
Yeah.
The basics are there, but the score has changed. So you can use old instruments to do new things. It's like using a violin for minimalism. You can still use a violin, but you do another kind of music than Baroque. So I hope no one has begged the same questions, because it would be pointless. But at the same time, I find a lot of influences and people who I now I cannot say if I drew from them or they drew from me, because we know each other, but we think alike, and we are in different fields. So there are a lot of people like, but in my practice, perhaps sometimes you take a lot of ideas from the wrong books, from the books that don't belong to your field. For instance, it's been a long time since I started quoting a medieval treatise of military strategy coming from ancient China, commented by François Julien, which in a way started my idea that we can think of photography in following different patterns and different paradigms. And one of these might come from ancient China, Taoist way of approaching things, which is not very original. Many people have, in America, for instance, have thought that photography can be thought as a gathering, receiving, a discipline of attention rather than construction or making or imposing your view on things. There is this sort of watery paradigm that comes from ancient China, which I like a lot, because it doesn't, it's like thing you want photography to do. Okay, do them and see. Otherwise, you can use photography to have an idea of what things are. It's more or less the same, but at the same time, it's a totally different path. Okay, so how can I say that a book on photography can alter my views? Recently, perhaps photo books changed a lot my several things I'm thinking of. But before answering this, I will have to answer your question, but it's a very, very difficult question. Why do they teach us always those books we shouldn't be reading. And I can tell you that I have used BARTs for a long time. I've used Kraus for a long time. I used Sontag for a long time. But then, luckily those days are over, and I prefer to use Stephen Shore, Giri, or authors who actually were able to speak out their needs, their beliefs. I prefer people who are less articulate in the theoretical sense, but are believable.
Yeah, because sorry if I interrupt you.
No.
In a way, the win part is that instead someone use still Barthes as really complicated to read. I wanna say, especially if you wanna read about the composition of the structure of communication, it's so totally hard to read. And Sontag, that's in a way, it's not hard to read, but it's hard to research, because we have then to research what was happening and what not.
Yeah.
You have said, in a way, also you was influenced from a sentence of François Julien, that is one that in a way influenced my way to see the world. Influenced. I was already in this way, and he confirmed in a way to say you are not alone in one of his book.
Sure.
And especially then the philosophy from the ancient China as the Tao, but not only also the Chuang-Tzu. That in a way I think they are really reliable to photography in a way,
Sure.
So you was talking now about that you prefer to use ones like Giri, that I also appreciate a lot. I will say that I have read more about Giri, but I didn't, so I will not go deep in this field. But I want to say, in a way, I think photography is totally related to philosophy, and especially because it's a tool that permits us to relate to the world, and to relate to the world from our point of view. That's I think always a funny part of the tools we use. In a way, we structure our world, and we are totally influenced from the world we are structuring with our tools, even if we are not photographer. I mean, today there is this amazing, cruel, funny things that everyone can shoot pictures, and that make me, in a way, even more curious to know how people perceive pictures, how if they are aware or not, if they know that in a way or another they are capturing some frames from them world, and if these frames in a way also influence them way to approach it to the others.
Listen, I had students. I've been having students since 1994 onwards, continuatively till now, and I can tell you that there is a very depressing curve of intelligence, visual intelligence. I mean, of course, I'm not referring to people in themselves, but in visual intelligence and in culture, which is a basic part of visual intelligence, and things are going really flat, and that in Italy at least, and it is basically because we've been brought, the younger generation have been brought to a very low stimulation and easy explanation of things, even on the political and social level. It's something that depresses me a lot because it seems directed by some clever hand. It's not a casual process. It's because in 1998, I would I would present Russian avant-gardes and say, okay, this is Malevich. And people would raise up, stand up, hand in the air and saying, okay, I didn't quite get it. Now, please let me understand why I should take this. Okay, I'll go back on this and explain better. It's a challenging thing, and it's an interesting thing to do. Oh, you didn't get it? Okay, it's my fault. I will have to be more, easy on one part, more thorough on the other, and you will have to get out of this room without a doubt that you can take a black square on a white background as a work of art, and that's fine. Today, you can say whatever to whoever, and they will take it. They will make no questions. There will be no doubt. The doubt will be, am I stupid, or is he stupid? That's what happens today, and this is making me really pissed off because it's a lot of it's the result of taking too shallow questions as good, to never go deep inside things. You know the books I read at the university are foreign language to students today. It's too complicated. It's really too tough to read, and they would not accept to make sense of a book that's so complicated as that. So,
But
okay.
this is in a way totally. I mean, as I'm younger, so then it's pity for me, and I was always thinking about, okay, why you study in the university if you don't want to go deep in the book, if you don't want to dive, if you don't want to swing in this book. I mean, why you go to university? I mean, there is no matter. In the end, even if you don't have a degree, you can, in a way or another, even if you have a 2 degree, you don't work. So then,
Yeah.
the point is not how many degrees you have and which way you develop your degree. Even because when you go in the university, actually you are not developing anything for the job that you will go to do it. I mean, the only probably things you will go to relate is how did you get in touch with the people that was studying in your same class. And this probably, if you learn to doing this good, that maybe you can have a future in the selling. But anything in university help people to even better work. So and I will say that I have really a particular history in the school. I mean, I did my first year of high school 5 times. That's just people normally do it 5 years of high school. I did it the first 5 times, but and I was not fitting, not in the school, but in the structure of the school. And when I did the first years of university, that I was already almost old, I was still not fitting inside of this structuring. For me, it was stupid in a way to follow people who was saying stuff that I could read by myself in some books. And I was around 18, 19 years old. 20 years old that I thought about, okay, why I have to spend the money to go in the university when I can study by myself what I want to do it. And I remember exactly that I was in the Feltrinelli of Naples that I bought your book. And I started to study by myself in a way.
Sure.
Then, yeah, for sure, in 2014, I or 16, I don't remember now exactly. I was doing also this masterclass with Lina Pallotta at Official
Yeah,
Photographic.
friend.
That in a way they structured me much more than what I had to
Sure.
do. So, and today, I will say, doing university, and especially because 2-3 years ago my mother was ill, and I started to say, okay, I go back from Berlin to Italy, and then I had to do something. I said, okay, let's try, let's go again in university, and I went to Parma to study, and my way to study started to be something really poetical in a way. I was totally immersed in the studying, and I remember my teacher of sociology asked me, why did you read all the book when I asked just to read 2 books to make the thesis? I said, because they was curious. I was curious about what they said, and I mean, for me, was just was what I have to do. I mean, I'm here to learn more about myself, and if I want to learn more about myself, I have to learn more about others. Otherwise, I cannot discover who I am. And in the same time, why I'm doing all of this algorithm of and passage of word, just that to say that, yeah, for sure, today we are searching always and always the most easiest way for the people. But I think why we have to do that? If people doesn't want in a way to suffer, so then it's even better if they suffer. I mean, this is a game. If they don't want, they have
Yes, of
to.
course. But Emiliano, the trouble is that we are not always alone, and there's always someone who wants something for us, and there is always some sort of design we unwillingly follow, and the education and the evolution of conscience and of knowledge follows paths that are designed by people who want customers and not citizens, who want voters and not opinion makers, who don't need personal opinions on behalf of anyone except those who are ready to be paid. So that's what happens today in television. That's what happens today in Italian society, but sadly, not only in Italy. People don't know what happens behind the curtains, and believe in a truth that is that has been designed and in order to to create behaviors. And we are living in a world that we would have described in terms of, oh, well, there's been a time when propaganda was big. There's been a time when Senator McCarthy would show fake papers just to make people believe that the U.S. were swarming with communists, but they then found out that it was a forgery and it was not true. Okay. I don't know if the cavalry came at a certain time, but this time it doesn't seem very likely that the cavalry will come, and I'm very, very, very worried about this, because people believe truths that are not based on reality.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I want to quote my father in that and say, yeah, that we are still in the new medial age, so new middle age, and this is just the next consequence of the middle age. We never jumped out from the middle age in a way because
No.
we are still a slave of a system that designed how to steal our energy. And now the point is that yeah, that's work really good, and this is the point. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
we also have
efficient.
our true, no? So we have our true, and they have them true. And I think after many years of research of the true, I started thinking that it's not really important for me what is the true, because this is the best way. We love. I want, in a way, also talk for you in that case, that we love to study the true of others. I mean, what is our path is that in a way or another, we ask to ourselves what other people don't ask to themselves. And that's because, in a way, we appreciate them way to see the truth. So if
Yes.
if there will be a real true,
No.
general true, no, that everyone will touch in the same way, we will never be so curious, probably, or so extreme in our research, no?
Yeah, but the trouble is that today there are protocols to lessen the freedom of the people who don't swear on the cross of a truth that has been predetermined by governments. And the real problem today is that that freedom and is in question, is doubted, and is under condition, which is not very promising for our future. The problem of curiosity is the richness of curiosity is that it happens in a free world. But where this freedom is not allowed it's not given for granted, curiosity becomes very suspect, very dangerous for the establishment, and so it suddenly becomes we are suddenly back to the Inquisition and suddenly back to the Dark Ages. That I don't want to say that. I don't want to quote any other situation where these things have happened. Also because at least it seems that in Germany has been turned into a law it is impossible to say that what happens now resembles anything happened in the 20th century because it's unlawful. Okay, it's not anything like fascism. Okay, let's say it reminds me very much of 1984.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
totally. I mean, I'm totally on the page with you about that, and yeah. What I mean, I think in the crisis, and especially what I think is really destroying every culture, every society, is that the things that no one for real read, understood the history. No one.
no.
And because if they would understood the history, they will not, in a way, being influenced from that. And we just we see clearly, no, it's a mirror. We have two mirrors in front, and yeah, they are the same, just change the character inside of this history, no, in this story we are telling now. But yeah, the problem is that fortunately I didn't study the history. Fortunately, I was not going in school because I was prefer to go around Naples and Rome and so on, and and never going at school and studying history, just reading by myself the book of history practically and other books in the train or so on, and in the page I wanted. Without following the numbers or others or the chapters. And was for me was like I mean, for me the life is in a way a big playground, and yeah, now I'm 31 and I'm still playing in this playground. And and yeah, even if you sometimes we have to take our responsibilities, that is in a way or another we cannot avoid. I mean, we when we are child, we in a way learn to play and to have a pleasure in playing, and why we don't have to play now? And that is the in a way the point. I mean, sometimes we go out from the playing, from the real playing that is great to don't have a base, and we start to play some games, like in this case some societies and some political societies that are much more complicated, and in a way or another, even if it's unconscious, they are influenced from the history, because the history in a way or another is in our DNA. And if we don't have the flexible in our mind to think in a radical different way, yeah, for sure, we will repeat always the same error, I will say. But I want to say also that today, and especially we have photography in a way, and photography also permit us to deliver some ideas and put this idea totally inside of the mind of people unconsciously, when we know consciously what we are giving. The only thing is just a terms of not have a lot of possibilities, is to make these images viral. So that's the part of the money. But yeah, this is always something you can fix it in a way or other.
Listen, what I feel urgent now is to say that the not the use of images, but the use of photography. So the use of a media that still can convey to some degree some proportion of truth or authenticity. The use of photography has become more than ever a political tool. It is not possible to deny this. It's not possible to play around this. It's not a time that allows us to play in the playground without keeping an eye on what's happening. So the idea is that photography is political. The use of photography and the position it takes within society and within and amongst people. I mean, what I do with photography and with photographic knowledge with other people, how this thing I do, this tool I master, connects other people to the things I believe in, is a totally political stance that we must take, that we cannot let others take, because there are systems that will do it in our stance, and we have the need, and we have the we must do that as people, as humans, contrasting dominant thoughts which are non-human, are based on profit, based on politics, and on groups, small groups needing to take control on the masses. Unluckily, We are the masses, and the masses, during the sinking of the Titanic, have been closed within boundaries and let sink. And they still had to sing a lullaby to the children, and they still had to embrace each other and show love, even if they knew they were sinking with the ship. But there were people who were on the boats saving themselves, and these are the elites who are now saving themselves from this shipwreck which they produced. So we have the right, and we need to let those gates open and let us all be saved in this situation. And I'm not referring to sanitary ways of saving ourselves, but in human ways of, to remain human beings, and to remain doubtful, and to remain curious, and to keep up with living a world where you are part of. You can't be told you're not part of this world.
Yeah.
It is something so urgent today to me that I almost forget whatever else I was dealing with years ago. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope to have other occasion to talk together, because I think there are too many questions. And in the first time after 150 podcasts, I started to think that better if we have a script to follow in a way, because we can go on without any structure and go. But yeah, what you said in the last, and especially what we talked about before, I will suggest that it's not as to be token in a way in different point of view, and that can be also really important to understand that in different ways. You say it as a human, but I think also as a photographer, as a creative, as people in general, as a different kind of lesson, because this is a way why I like to doing the podcast and even writing. It's because when you refer a message, this is messages in a way can structure definitely not all you as a photographer, but you as a person. Because it doesn't matter. I mean, we here, no one give a fuck if you then do it a good photographer with what we say. But probably, you can become a better person, understanding even better the way we are talking about, and what you missed, because every one of us missed something in some other point of view. So thank you again a lot, Augusto, for your time. And for me, it was really a pleasure to have you.
Thanks a lot.
And
my pleasure. Hope to be able to do this again one day in the future. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Many times as you want.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you want to learn more about us, you can visit the link allmylinks.com, Berlin Explorer, or our website BEEXproject.com. And if you want to follow us, you can always get news from Instagram on our account BEEX Project. Thank you again, and see you in the next episode.